Hi everyone, it's another quick and down and dirty and sweaty and grubby video for this week. I would apologise, but I think this seems to be the way most weeks at the moment. My schedule is very busy. I still do a review on my blog every day. We are pleasingly busy with the podcast, which is obviously why I do these videos. I'm building up my workouts at the gym, incorporating more running. I'm still tempted to attempt the Edinburgh Marathon again by the time I turn a certain age, which will be harder, but I'd like to do it under 4 hours. Anyway, you didn't tune in for that. A few things this week, just a general positive vibe again. Like to say good things about good people, and this week I've been listening a lot to there's Dawn of the Dead. There was a wonderful episode just today or yesterday about The Shining. I just like hearing Donna chat about her love of all things horror. There's the Final Transmission show podcast. They were speaking about Doctor Sleep recently, which I enjoyed. Shoot the Hostage was great, and their discussion of Way of the Gun reminded me of how much I enjoy Way of the Gun. And Death by DVD, who I haven't mentioned so much recently because Harry is on his journeys here, there and everywhere, but he spoke with someone the other week whose name I forget. I think it might be David Axe. And then the recent episode on audio was about Fright Night, which is always wonderful to listen to. Other than that, there's a lot of fun with the Not a Bomb podcast. The WatchSkip Plus podcast is back. Still a different co-host. Jose is still there. And just lots of good people in my ears all the time. So I cram that in, and I like to mention them when I remember to mention them, because I think it's nice, but I don't like to feel that it's just online when people say like for like and that kind of thing. It's not an immediate quid pro quo. It's just sharing a bit of love for people that I think you should check out. Really, there are lots of others, and I forget them every week until I switch off the video. But as I say, I don't always mention them because we're not that way inclined. And as a podcast, if you've listened, we have been lucky enough to be offered a couple of movies that we've reviewed on the podcast, but I do email these people. We have a little conversation beforehand in which I have to respectfully inform them that we would like to review their movie and get a chance to see it before other people if they want it discussed, but that is no guarantee that we will like the movie. And if we don't, we try and be constructive with our criticism. I think I've said all this before on video, but it is worth remembering, because a couple of my movies this week, I'm not sure if I mentioned My Bloody Banjo before, and I'm going to cover some of this cover in case it's deemed too rude. I also got Eating Miss Campbell. These are two films from Refuse Films. I ordered them direct, and they are both directed by Liam Regan, who's signed and numbered on the back. So that was the point of my preamble, because I watched My Bloody Banjo the other week. I can't recall if I mentioned it on here. I really enjoyed it, but I really enjoyed it in the way that it was silly. It was, overdone. The acting was varied, but the emphasis was always on a sense of fun and ridiculousness. And then obviously there were a focus on some main gore gags and an interesting thematic strand with the idea of the bloody banjo. So I liked it enough that I'd given it a blind buy, because I'd seen Liam be online in conversations with people and just being generally quite nice in his way of discussing films, but obviously promoting sales of his own work. And that is the fine balancing act. Like so many people are online now for promotion of whatever they're doing, We do that as a podcast in many ways. I do that when I'm sharing my blog review links every day on Facebook and Mastodon. I put them in IMDb. I do these things. If nobody ever reads my blog, that's fine, because it is my own memory aid, and it's kind of my catalogue, and it's my it's almost like the equivalent of my journal that keeps me focused and keeps my mental health on track, because I watch things, I list them, I write them down. But it's still all, you know, online, tied in with that idea of connections and networking and self-promotion. I'm aware of that. So many people do it. Don't overdo it. Don't do it in a way that's just, you know, aggressively all about you. Do it in a way that balances things out, and that people know that, you know, if you've directed a couple of movies, that you're doing that because you have a passion for it. Whether you have the resources to match that passion or not, it's an entirely different matter. But Liam comes across really well, and in the films themselves, that's what comes across. It's it feels like he has a passion for it. It's obvious that he loves the kind of low budget splatter flicks of Troma and you know, other people in that vein. In fact, I think this is with Troma. I think he got Eating Miss Campbell released with their help, maybe. I don't know if they put any money into it or just liked the cut of his jib. So those are two films that I would recommend to you as horror fans to support, if you are horror fans. Not because they're masterpieces, but because they're fun, and if Liam makes more movies, he gets a chance to try other things and get better at things, and maybe keep pooling resources so he has more to choose from with each project. And I like that. I know times are tough. I know not everyone has spare money, and it's, you know, you've got to prioritize, you know, electric, gas, food ahead of everything else. But if you do have pocket money occasionally, I would just encourage you to, whether it's Refuse Films or it's other small companies doing work that is maybe far from perfect but worth a try, then, you know, I would always say go with that if you can. So that's my little spiel for this week. The other release I picked up this week that I don't think I mentioned, it's quite far removed, but was the Heroic Trio and the Executioners. I don't often get multi-region discs, as I think I've said before, but these two Johnny To movies are well worth my time, because I've watched the Heroic Trio before, and I knew I had to really rewatch it to fully form my opinion on it, but I knew I liked it, and the Executioners is a follow-up to that, so I'll look forward to that. I saw a couple of recent releases that seem to be slightly contentious. I watched Argylle, and I liked Argylle. I can see why people would dislike it. I just am surprised by the wave of hatred for it. I thought it was fun. I thought quite a few of the set pieces worked well in their ridiculousness, but Matthew Vaughn once again mixes the visuals with some good soundtrack choices. Sam Rockwell is, you know, any film is improved by having extra Sam Rockwell when possible, and he gets to be smooth and charming at times, which is what Sam Rockwell can do really well. And Bryce Dallas Howard is, you know, a very interesting choice for the lead role in that. So it was good to see her used in that way. It's got a decent supporting cast. It looks good. Runtime's a bit over long. Twists and turns don't really matter. There is, you know, CGI used in a way that it's too much and gets a bit too silly in places. But again, I just don't quite get all the hate for it. I think at the end of the day, Vaughn is certainly aimed to deliver something fun. And I got that from it for, I'm going to say, well, maybe not the majority of it. Yeah, the slight majority of it. I enjoyed it enough. And then I watched Roadhouse on Amazon Prime with Jake Gyllenhaal, ripped like I've never seen him ripped before. You could use his body as an anatomical study of musculature on the human form. It's ridiculous. I really enjoyed Roadhouse. It was silly. It was it was ridiculous. Conor McGregor is an over-the-top, annoying villain, and I kind of think he played that part quite well. Nobody else really matters. There's the big sort of head guy controlling the villains. There are minor baddies, but the fights could have been shot better. I just, again, people are kind of crying out that the original was a classic. Is it though? It's a good 8 out of 10 for me, and I love it. I love Swayze in it. I love the ridiculousness of that. Sam Elliott is always popular. It's wonderful, but it's cheesy. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's completely unbelievable. The script has some absolute cracking lines in it. Ben Gazzara's being ridiculous in it. So this new version, this remake, really hits a lot of the same beats, and the ridiculous elements of it are in line with the ridiculous elements of the original. So I don't get why you would criticize it for doing something that feels actually quite nicely in the spirit of the original. So I enjoyed it for that. I enjoyed that they gave him a decent backstory, as to why he doesn't want to get too angry. I enjoyed the little reference to the previous film with Jakey G and Patrick Swayze. The fact that the Florida area was called the Glass Key felt like a nice little nod to that classic film. I'm sure that was deliberate. And yeah, it was good. Fights, as I say, could have been a bit better. There are one or two that are really well done though. I would say check out if you've not got too much else lined up. I think it was fun. I'm seriously in the minority. So I'm in the minority with that. I'm in the minority with Argylle. I'm probably in the minority for rushing to buy My Bloody Banjo and eating Miss Campbell. But hey ho, it's not too bad sometimes to be in your party of one. Anyway, I hope you have a good week ahead, and I will probably be just as sweaty and rushing about next week, even though it's the Easter weekend. I'll have been exercising to get rid of all the chocolate that I will have eaten. Guaranteed. See ya.